Hey, welcome back to the Big Grand Show. As always, thank you for joining me. If you could, hit that subscribe button down below. Let's get right to it. Now, last week, at a restaurant in Bordentown, New Jersey, at a cafe called Under the Moon Café, a bit of ignorance left the owner shocked and a server heartbroken. Now, during the time that this couple was here, there was a couple that showed up at this restaurant. They were very respectful. They commended the server, the service, the food, the restaurant, the ambiance of this little Argentine-inspired cafe. But at the end of it, even though the server had done her job, did proper, they left this note that read simply, "Don't tip immigrants." Now, as the owner points out, it completely shows the ignorance here. As he is quoted, "I am utterly shocked at the blatant ignorance." These two individuals assumed that somebody was an immigrant simply because they could speak two languages. They did not speak Spanish or anything to the people at the table. They spoke English. Now, they did, apparently, according to the owner, that the girl did speak to another co-worker in Spanish. Now, it's bad. That's bad enough that they sit there and they, assumed somebody was an immigrant simply because they spoke a different language. But two, who cares if they're an immigrant? If they serve you, and they serve you well, do they not deserve to get a tip for their job? They're still doing the job for you, are they not? It's also not in a situation anymore where it's easy, or all that easy, to hire somebody to work for you every day. If they're illegal. Illegals are not, it's not easy for someone who is here illegally to work. It happens. But my first assumption when I go to a restaurant isn't, oh, that person must be illegal. Yet, that's what happened in Bordentown, New Jersey. A couple came in and decided that somebody was an immigrant simply because they heard them speak Spanish. I tell you, America, this is the kind of thing that pisses me off. One, not just the assumptions, but the fact that you would attack somebody simply because they might be an immigrant. It would have been better off for you to have just not left a tip. Or to not have, just not left anything. Than to sit there and hurt somebody like that. But you know what? There's a good ending to this story. After the owner of this restaurant posted on his Facebook page about this lack of a tip because this person doesn't tip owner or immigrants, the owner got all sorts of responses. Almost all of them were positive from the local area. Everybody said they're going to start. They're going to come in. Some people said they're going to come in and they will pay more for their tip to make up for the tip this server did not get. And so, yes, I do believe a lot of Americans' hearts are as cold as stone at this point in time. But there's one thing I do know, is that most Americans are better than that. Now, what the most amazing thing about this entire thing is, the owner of this restaurant is an immigrant who said his restaurant is open to everybody. But he politely, in his comments, asked those people to not return to his restaurant. But I think it's awesome that this guy was an immigrant himself, and these pieces of crap came into his restaurant and want to berate people for being immigrants. But to the owner of the Over the Moon Café in Bordentown, New Jersey, I commend you on staying classy and not going low. You definitely pulled a Michelle Obama, because you could have just trashed the people, but instead you just told the story. And you definitely went high when they went low. Anyhow, this has been the Big Rant Show. I've been your host, Jacob Keck, and I'll see you down the road.